He's not even president yet. President-elect Donald Trump is trying to take over Greenland, the Panama Canal, and turn Canada into the 51st state. This may be the greatest land grab since the Louisiana Purchase. All signals that are out there are that President Donald Trump, for the second time, you may have remembered in his first administration, when the Hurricane Maria smashed into the Commonwealth of Puerto Rico, and Donald Trump threw bounty towels at the people and said, use this for now while I send you FEMA supplies. He played with the idea of engineering a trade. That's right, Jonas, you may not be aware. He wanted to trade the Commonwealth of Puerto Rico for the province of Greenland. That's right. He wanted to engineer a trade between the king of the Danes of Denmark, its prime minister, in order to give an even swap to, oh, my God, here it goes, Puerto Rico for Greenland. But that didn't work out. Didn't work out that time. But already Donald Trump has said, well, don't ever forget, if you fail the first time, try again. This time he has said he wants Greenland. No swap for Greenland. Not Puerto Rico, not Samoa, not Guam, not any territory of the United States. He basically says, I know what I want, and I want Greenland. I want its resources, and I want its strategic value because it's so close to the Arctic Circle that we can put land-based missiles there, and we can have our Air Force bombers there, so all they got to do is go over the Arctic, the North Pole, even when Santa Claus is preparing presents for next year's delivery, and then, if necessary, bomb Beijing directly, bomb Moscow directly. Naturally, the Russians, Putin is saying 1,000 times no. President Xi, what's on first? I don't know who's on second. He belly slides into third, is saying heavens to Betsy, no. But did you know there was a king of Denmark, Jonas? Yes. Those fake, phony, fraudulent royalty monarchists still exist in Europe. The biggest welfare and deadbeats going, starting with the British royalty. And they're somehow, that's right, Rich Radabali, all incestually related. It's like incest is best there. The Habsburg Empire, all these kings and queens, these fake, phony, fraudulent princes and princesses. You ever go to a party? Oh, I happen to be the prince of Denmark. Really? Really? Who made you the prince? Oh, I don't need to show you any confirmation. I am the Prince of Denmark. So I know you didn't know him, Jonas, but King Frederick X is taking this suggestion by President Donald Trump extraordinarily seriously. He's already allocated from the budget of Denmark. That man, he put down his lutefisk, his Fiskaballs, and his Copenhagen beer during the Christmas celebration and said, we are going to apply $1 billion in U.S. currency. I don't know how many Danish krones that is, because they don't use the euros. And we are going to buff up our defenses of Greenland. In fact, he's calling on all citizens of Denmark to cross over, like they did in the days of the Vikings of Norway and Denmark and the Scandinavian countries, which this song by Led Zeppelin was dedicated to. The Norsemen, Leif Erikson, Eric Durant, and cross over to the largest island in the world, which is actually in North America. It is not in the European subcontinent, and he wants to protect the territory of the Kingdom of Denmark, Greenland, from an American invasion. I mean, he's so afraid of Donald Trump, he thinks for sure on January 21st, after Trump is inaugurated as the 47th president of the United States, somehow, some way, Donald Trump is going to launch an invasion of Greenland. Now, I want you to know there's only 88,000 people in all of Greenland, and 88% of them are Inuits. That means like Eskimos. Can I say Eskimos, or is that not permissible? Because, you know, they said somehow that's xenophobic, that's racist. I don't understand. When I was a kid growing up, Eskimos, right, they survived the harsh Arctic conditions. They built igloos. They rubbed their noses instead of kissed. And that determined that they were going to create and procreate and bring in little Eskimos. Now I'm told you can't say Eskimos. You have to say Inuits. 88% of the meager population of Greenland are Inuit peoples. They have not been asked what their opinion is. But I will tell you this, if they contact their brothers and sisters over in Alaska, when we were told hundreds of years ago they crossed the Bering Strait from Mother Russia when it was all ice, and that's what became the first native Indians in North America, then Central America, and then South America. First the Navajo Indians, and then eventually the Aztecs and the Mayan Indians in the Yucatan, and yes, the Aztec Indians. Oh, my God, in the Andean Mountains. You remember that, right? All your lessons there, Jonas. That's supposedly how they came in. I guarantee you, if you left it to the Inuit people, they would give up the Fiskaballs and Lutefisk of the King of Denmark, King Frederick X, the Copenhagen beer, and they would welcome Donald Trump's invading MAGA people, because they don't need the military. If Donald Trump from Mar-a-Lago would say, prepare the longboats, we are invading Greenland. Watch all the MAGA people with their red caps. Make America great again. It'll be Make Greenland Great Again. MGGA. Oh, yeah, they have special MAGA hats for special occasions. And what the hell is the King Frederick of Denmark going to do to repulse America? First of all, you know that Donald Trump doesn't want war. He wants the art of the deal. For the second time, he wants Greenland. He says it's mineral rich, strategically it's great, and because the permafrost is melting now, there's actually green in Greenland. Before, it was just one sheet of ice. The world's largest island, and they use renewable energy. Remember, there was the staging ground for Eric the Red, the father of Leif Erikson, to do the hop, skip, and the jump. Remember, they were the Norsemen. They were the Vikings. They came from Norway, the squareheads. They then stopped in Denmark on their way to Iceland and Reykjavik. Next stop was Greenland. And then they claimed that they settled in Vineland, in Newfoundland, right near Halifax, and were the first to discover the New World. Centuries before Christopher Columbus and St. Brendan the Navigator, who the Irish Josephite nuns at St. Matthew's Elementary School tried to brainwash me into believing that it was St. Brendan the Navigator and not Christopher Columbus with the Nina, the Pinta, the Santa, and the Maria. Now, believe it or not, the European Union is going to come together and have a meeting and try to convince Donald Trump, do not try to lease Greenland, do not try to purchase Greenland. Just leave the Greenland people, 88,000 of them, alone. And Donald Trump has insisted, I couldn't get my way the first time and swap Puerto Rico for Greenland. Now it's the art of the deal. Let's put it into a plebiscite. Let the Inuit people, who are 88% of the population, quote, the Eskimos, let them determine whether they want to remain Danes with Denmark, where it's socialism morning, noon, and night, or do they want to become newfound citizens of the United States with all the rights that are incorporated in citizenship? You know damn well what the Inuit people are going to want. They're going to want, hey, where's my MAGA hat? It's only 88,000 people. It's the world's largest island. This guy is crazy. He's ramping up security. He's calling in the sleigh dogs. And he can't seem to get any volunteers from Denmark itself to come on over, leave the family for the Christmas holidays, and build the barricades. To the barricades! Oh, my God. Donald Trump has other intentions, ladies and gentlemen. It is not just to lease, rent, or seize Greenland. He also has his eyes on the second largest landmass country in the world, Canada, which he has offered to become the 51st state, and he has suggested to Canadians as Twinkle Toes Trudeau fades into the dust in Ottawa. You know what you should do? Temporarily, you should elect the great one. No, not Mark Levin. The great one, Wayne Gretzky. 20 years in hockey night. The greatest hockey player ever to play the game of Canada. Elect Wayne Gretzky, your prime minister. And then we can do business. Now think about it. Justin Trudeau has raised the taxes so much the Canadians pay about 60% of their income in taxes. Donald Trump says, hey, how'd you like to pay 23%, maybe 22%? Maybe we can knock it down to 20%, and with benefits of being part of the most powerful country in the world, the United States. What do you think those Canadians are thinking to themselves? And I'm saying to myself, 3 times we've tried to invade Canada. Did you know that, Jason? Back in 1775, at the start of the American Revolution, we took Montreal, but we failed to seize Quebec City in the mountains and the hills. And then we attempted again in 1812, the War of 1812, to seize Canada. We failed again. And how could you ever forget the movie Canadian Bacon, the director Michael Moore? Yes, Michael Moore, starring John Candy. That was our 3rd attempt to seize Canada. You know it is the 51st state. I don't know. I'd forget Quebec. I'd forget the maritime provinces. I'd forget Manitoba, Saskatchewan, the strong Chinook. I would forget British Columbia. There are 10 provinces and 3 territories. I'd have eyes for Alberta and the shale, the black gold, the oil that's going to suddenly pump through the Keystone Pipeline once again when Donald Trump is sworn in as president on January 20th, undoing the closure that Joe Biden immediately implemented when he replaced Donald Trump as president. And Trudeau Jr. had a heart attack, as did everyone in Alberta. By the way, the most American of all provinces. If you've ever been to Edmonton and Calgary, they wear cowboy hats, they have cowboy boots, they have a stampede. You would think you were in Fort Worth, Texas, and not in Canada. Ladies and gentlemen, what say you? With the greatest land grab since the Louisiana Purchase, Donald Trump isn't even sworn in office yet. He all of a sudden wants Greenland with a lease, a rental, or a seizure from Denmark. He wants Canada to be the 51st state. He wants them to elect as their next prime minister Wayne Gretzky, the great one. No, not Mark Levin. And he wants to seize back the Panama Canal. Man, that is aggressive. That is manifest destiny, right? Because remember, Greenland is North America. Canada is North America. The Panama Canal is the Western Hemisphere. That is the doctrine, the Monroe Doctrine in full effect. Brought to you by Team Trump and MAGA people who are waiting their orders from headquarters Mar-a-Lago to get into the longboats and to seize Greenland, to seize the Isthmus of Panama, the Panama Canal, and of course, seize Canada, the 51st state, and install as prime minister the great one, Wayne Gretzky. 1-800-848-9222. That's 1-800-848-WABC. Let's go to Joseph in Connecticut. Your turn to be heard here at WABC, Joseph.
Hello, Curtis. First of all, I lived in the Bronx for 40 years, and I met you in 1994. You were helping Giuliani run, so it was a great time. But I'm in Connecticut. I had escaped the crime and all that, but it's returned. Anyway, I'd like to talk about Greenland. It has tremendous amount of rare earth elements, natural resources, uranium, and the Chinese are already mining over there through an Australian company that's there. So Trump, and the other thing about Greenland is the Northwest Passage, that it's a shipping lane, cargo shipping lane that's from Europe to the Pacific to the West Coast, California, is actually shorter than going through the Panama Canal. So I think he's actually weighing both of these together. Greenland is worth, if he pays $1 trillion for it, it's worth it. The Danish are losing money because they have to support the Inuit people that are there. There's about 50, as you said, 80,000. I think there's about 50,000. But anyway, so it's a great purchase. It would be great. It's supported by the Monroe Doctrine, as you said. Tremendous. He should absolutely buy it from Denmark.
So will we be considered a jingoistic, nationalistic, America first country that seizes territory in our own hemisphere? Is that what the final output would be here, Giuseppe?
No, that's my name. Actually, I was born in Italy. I came I was 4 years old on the Andrea Doria. That was my name. I switched it when I went in front of the judge in 1961. to become an American citizen because my father, my parents were here, and of course my brothers and sisters.
Now let me ask you a question, Joseph. What part of Italy were you from?
Benevento, near Naples, Panerano,
Napolitano. So did you celebrate the night of the seven fishes?
Yeah, well, yeah, we used to do that all the time. This Christmas Eve was a little bit more modest, but usually my sister was a tremendous cook. My mother was an unbelievable cook.
When you say modest, you mean you had a can of sardines and a can of anchovies, right?
Everything. I mean, all the fishes you can think about. We went to Arthur Avenue. We buy it down there at Randazzo's.
Oh, yeah. By the way, the night of the seven fishes, why is the number 7 significant? Because 7 sacraments, 7 fishes, and number 7 in pinstripes, Mickey Mantle. Were you aware of that, Joseph?
No, I remember seeing him as a little kid in the Bronx going to Yankee Stadium. I actually saw him, Roger Maris, 1961, 62. He was going there. My brother took us.
All right, so you got door number 1 on Monty Hall, door number 2, door number 3. Do we lease Greenland? Do we rent it, or do we just take it from Denmark?
We just buy it. We can purchase it. The United States has enough money. Purchase it.
Now, wait a second. With $35 trillion in debt, $2 trillion in deficit every year, what do you mean we're wealthy enough to buy it?
Curtis, it's an investment. The amount of natural resources that are there will be unbelievable.
I'll make you a deal, Joseph. If I can call the Inuit people again Eskimos and get my old Eskimo ice cream pies, remember that we used to buy the Eskimo ice cream? If I can do that, then we got a deal.
Well, I think it's a great deal. The Louisiana Purchase was bought by Jefferson for what, $8 million, $10 million or something.
But wait a sec. What about Alaska and Hawaii? Do you forget that right away? Let's not forget Hawaii. You know, we still have a Russian fort there. Oh yeah, in Maui, a Russian fort. Putin reminds us of that all the time. Hey. We got a Russian fort there. Don't ever forget that. Our number is 1-800-848-9222. The Monroe Doctrine in full effect. Donald Trump, the president-elect, is going on a buying spree. Will he rent? Will he lease? Or will he just bum rush in and say, at Panama Canal, that belongs to the U.S. of A. We dug it. We lost men because of it to malaria and yellow fever. We're taking that canal, and ain't a damn thing you're going to do, Mariano Rivera from Panama, or you red Chinese. For decades, the British and the French warred over old Canada, with the Indian tribes deciding, no, we'll go with the Brits, the Union Jack, or we'll go with the tricolor. Yes. No, it didn't work out. Didn't work out because America in 1776, led by who? Benedict Arnold. He was still one of us before he became un traditor, before he became a Judas and joined the British Redcoats, fleeing West Point ahead of General Washington, who was coming up the Hudson River. And when he arrived at West Point, he said, what happened to Benedict Arnold? He said he fled. He joined the Brits. But before that, he helped lead the invasion of the American Continental Army into Canada. And they battled and they took Montreal on flat land. And then they tried to take the capital, Quebec City, which was high in the hills and in the mountain. And they reached the top, the summit, but were driven back, suffered an enormous loss, and had to retreat back into the colonies as they continued to battle the Brits. Pulaski in the south, that's right, the greatest Polish general of all times, who led us in the south against the British regulars, not the Hessians, not the mercenaries. And that's why so many areas, Jonas, are named Pulaski County in Arkansas and Tennessee and in Georgia. And down there, those Southerners have no idea why it's named Pulaski. Buried there he is, the monument in Savannah. And they exhumed his body because they said they didn't know what gender he was. Can you believe that? They actually touched that sacred, consecrated burial ground, exhumed the body because they said he had the features of a male, but the anatomy of a female. Notice, no respect for the Poles. They never have. They never have. But Canada was almost ours. And then in 1812, we attempted again, Jonas. And we failed the War of 1812. But then who could ever forget the great attempt, the movie Canadian Bacon, with Alan Alda and, of course, John Candy leading the way in taking Canada as the 51st state. Our number is 1-800-848-9222. That's 1-800-848-WABC. Again, the offer from President Trump, get rid of SAC, Twinkle Toes Trudeau. He's raised your taxes. He's at 22% in the popular opinion polls. He eventually will lose parliamentary control. Elect Wayne Gretzky, the great one, not Mark Levin. Make him your prime minister, and I will lower your taxes to about 20%. And trust me, you're better off as Americans than you are as Canadians. Will they give up the maple leaf? Will they give up the maple leaf for the red, white, and blue, the stars and stripes? That will yet be determined. As Donald Trump says, it's the art of the deal. Give me an opportunity to talk to the Canadian people. Give me an opportunity to address the parliamentarians in Ottawa. And I will I will convince them that it's best to be Americans, and so North America will consist of Canada, America as one country, led by America. But we don't want Mexico. No, that's part of NAFTA, but we don't want Mexico. No, Lindsey Graham, he wants to go to war against everybody. He wants to go to war. He wants to bomb Mexico. No. Donald Trump wants no wars. He wants to lease. He wants to purchase. And if necessary, bully his way into owning Canada. Our number is 1-800-848-9222. Let's go to Lily in Queens. Your turn to be heard here on WABC, Lily.
Oh, Curtis, Merry Christmas to you and your family and all the ABC people, because they are wonderful, but you are my favorite. I listen to you on weekends, on weekdays, and because at night I can't sleep, I got to have my radio on. And then these people that were watching that poor lady burn, I don't know how they could live with that forever. If that was me, Curtis, I'm 83, and believe me, I would have punched that bitch out, plus I would have rolled her over with me to save her life.
Yes, that's what we were taught as kids in public school, in junior high school, when the fire marshals would come in, and the fire marshals would say, if ever you come across anyone who caught fire, especially leading into the July 4th fireworks weekend, just knock them down, roll them around, get some kind of apparel, put it over them, try to stamp out the fire, and immediately immediately bring that person to a hospital and get them treated, maybe for second-degree burns, third-degree burns, first-degree burns. It would have required a lot of, oh my God, so many skin operations to try to save this woman. We don't even know who she is, Lily. She was burned so badly that the coroner of New York City cannot make an identification. At the rate this is going, if they can't make a determination, at some point they'll have to bury her, and they'll have to bury her in Potter's Field, where there are already about 1 million people, most of whom we don't even know because they died poor and impoverished, without family, without friends, without any contacts, Lily.
And we should have a dedication stone or something for her. And Curtis? Hello?
Yes, Lily.
Could I tell you one thing that would make you laugh?
Well, please do.
Okay. I belong to bingo at American Legion, and we had a Christmas party, right? And we used to get that $5,000 senior money every year. Well, we don't get it ever since Eric got locked up. So we cut back. We pay more for tuition when we go in September. We pay more for the coffee and the cake, and we don't mind that. But at the Christmas party, about an hour later, after we're in, I said to my friends, what happened to the Christmas music? So I go to the fella that plays it, because now we play a nice radio. He said they told me not to play it, shut it off. I said, why? Well, first they thought it was too loud, and then they said, nah, we just want it off. I said, oh, yeah? I went to each table. I said, do you like Christmas music? What is Christmas without music? So I went to every table. I think there was like 10, 15 of them. So then my other 10 friends came over by me, and they said, come on, Lily, we're going to sing Jingle Bells. And that's what we did. And then, would you believe it? Right after that, they played music.
Of course. It's like Donald Trump, who said, how come there's no more Christmas? I am reinstalling Christmas, Lily. Now, if you, again, have anxiety and agita late at night and you need to go to sleep, my recommendation is you listen to The Other Side of Midnight with the Mama Luke Frank Morano, and within the first hour of that program, you will be sleeping like a little baby. Oh, my God. Frank Morano knows how to put his listeners to sleep. I was listening into the wee hours of the morning. I caught myself catching a few C's. So look, you don't need Sominex. You don't need Ambien. For those of you who are sleep challenged, all you got to do is listen to Frank Morano, the Mama Luke, Monday through Friday. It's The Other Side of Midnight on his nationally syndicated program, 1 to 5, right here on WABC. I wonder if this Van Halen song, Panama, was dedicated to Pineapple Face. Manuel Noriega, one time a great ally of America, a CIA operative who was paid $10 million to spy on countries in South America, Central America, the Caribbean, and West Indies. But then, he became an enemy because he sided up with Muammar Gaddafi in Libya, and then Bush 41 determined it was time to invade Panama and take out Pineapple Face, who was waving a machete in the air in Panama City. Go ahead, come get me, Bush 41. And Bush 41 did. He sent in, unbelievably, 27,000 troops, 300 aircraft. He practiced with the new stealth aircraft dropping bombs on Noriega's compound and in the slums of Panama City. Oh, my God. 23 Americans died in battle. 2 citizens. Hundreds of Panamanians. And when Bush 41 was asked, why, oh, why did we turn on our friend, Pineapple Face, Manuel Noriega, the excuse was because we understood he was using cocaine and watching pornography. Another excuse. Oh, we come up with all kinds of excuses when we want to take out a former friend who became a foe, right? Just like Muammar Gaddafi. Friend gave up his nuclear weapons, his arsenal, to Bush 43, and then we turned on him. And the next thing you know, a Libyan rebel with wearing a New York Yankee hat put a .22 up his tuchus and blasted him onto the Paradise Express and zoomed Gaddafi up to Al-Assad. America has a habit of doing that. Our friends then become foes, and we have to come up with a reason that we're getting rid of them. But for Manuel Noriega, Pineapple Face, it was because, oh, my God, he was using cocaine and watching pornography. Anyway, Donald Trump is not involved in all that mishigash. He doesn't want to rewrite history. He doesn't want the country of Panama, no. Because if you go to Panama City, I don't know if many of you have, modern skyscrapers, casinos, nightclubs, and money laundering extraordinaire. In fact, that's where Putin has laundered and banked a lot of his stolen money, and a lot of the oligarchs from both Russia and the Ukraine, who are at war with one another, they have chosen the banks of Panama City. to stash their cash. But what President Donald Trump is saying is we want the canal back. It's 51 miles. We built it. We shed our blood and tears. Thousands of West Indian Panamanians died digging that canal under Teddy Roosevelt, not only because of some of the geological problems of digging through the Isthmus of Panama, the jungle, but mostly because of yellow fever and mostly malaria. The mosquitoes there, the size of horses, you could put a saddle on them and ride them. And they would bite those that were digging the canal, sometimes by hand, and within days they'd be dead. Just like in a lot of battles in the South Pacific against the Japanese in World War II, most Americans didn't die by being shot or bombed. They died from malaria, these tropical diseases, because it was jungle warfare. And what Donald Trump is saying is, hey, look, I realized that America wasn't there first, Jonas. No, it was the French. The French had just successfully dug the Suez Canal. And you know the labor that they used in digging the canal that connected the Mediterranean to the Red Sea and is closed now to American shipping and most shipping because the Houthis are sending their rockets at any ships they consider not to be friendly. I mean, if you're a Russian ship or a Red Chinese ship, you get free passage through the Suez Canal. But if you're American or European or Greek, they fire missiles at you, the Houthis, and that has caused the price of a barrel of crude oil to skyrocket. But it was the French who built the Suez Canal successfully, and you know who the workers they used? They used Italians, who were the ditch diggers. And in fact, the reason that Italians eventually were called guineas was because they got paid in guineas, which was currency at that time, coins. And many of them died in building the Suez Canal, digging it out mostly by hand. And so the Italians were brought over by the French in 1881 to continue their excavation of the Isthmus of Panama. The Americans were thinking, oh, we'll build the canal through Nicaragua. But that never manifested. So the French tried for 8 years. And then they collapsed financially, a lack of investors and worker mortality. So many of the Italian ditch diggers died from malaria and yellow fever that they had to say no mas, no mas. So who picked it up? Teddy Roosevelt. Remember his philosophy, which was, speak softly and carry that big stick and kabong! And so he said, we will build the canal. And from 1904 to 1914, he did. Thousands died, mostly West Indians and Panamanians who were paid by the Americans to build the canal. They finally were successful putting up all the locks and connecting the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific Ocean, which shortened what previously had been you had to sail all the way around the tip of Argentina and Chile and either go up the East Coast or the West Coast, depending on where you were going, which added many weeks, sometimes months, to the voyage. So America went to spoils, and we ran the Panama Canal until 1977. But the second worst president in our lifetime, Jimmy Carter, decided it was time to turn it over to Panama. So for about 20 years, we made the transition, and in 1999, Panama officially took control of the Panama Canal and Panama Canal Zone, which had always been an American protectorate. Even John McCain grew up there. That's why they said he couldn't qualify initially to run for president, because he was born and raised on a military base right there in the Panama Canal Zone. But it was really the Red Chinese who were brought in by the Panamanians to run the Panamanian Canal, both on the Atlantic Ocean front and the Pacific Ocean front. So the fear that President Trump has being sworn in as the 47th president is that not only are the fees higher for American ships and European ships and not for Russian ships or Red Chinese ships, but rather that in time of conflict, the Red Chinese would choke off our connection between the Atlantic Ocean and the Pacific Ocean. So the president of Panama has said 1,000 times no. The canal is our national pride. You ain't getting it back. and he has just appointed President Donald Trump a new ambassador to Panama from Miami, who will be able to negotiate with him the art of the deal. I do not believe that President Donald Trump wants to take the Panama Canal back under threat of a military incursion, but he wants to sit down and make a deal. And it is very important, since it is in the Western Hemisphere, that the Trump version of the Monroe Doctrine, that everything in the Western Hemisphere, including Greenland, which is in North America, is controlled by the United States and not our enemies. Not Iran, not Russia, and especially not Red China. Let's see if we can go to Nick, all the way in T.O., Toronto. Your turn to be heard here at WABC, Nick.
Hi, Curtis. Merry Christmas. How are you?
How was your boxer day today?
Boxer. Yeah, I still have my boxers on.
Hopefully so. But what do you think of Donald Trump trying to bribe the Canadians to become the 51st state?
Listen, I like Donald Trump. He's a man con i coglioni de ferro. You know what that means, right?
Of course. You're Italian, right?
Yes.
Do you know, by the way, there are more Italians in Toronto than there are in the 5 boroughs of the city of New York?
Oh, I know. I hear it every day from our community. But anyhow, regarding Canada and the Americans buying it out, or however Donald Trump wants to do it, I think it'll be a little difficult because Canada is a Commonwealth, and I believe King Charles is the head of state, so I don't know how that would go over.
Oh, get rid of the king. Come on, get rid of the monarchy. Instead of having the king's picture up in all your government buildings and schools, you'll have Donald Trump's picture up there. Come on.
Well, yeah. But, it's interesting. The owner of the Toronto Maple Leafs was kind of like a George, the guy from the Yankees. He was kind of like that.
Steinbrenner, yes.
Yeah. So they used to have a picture of the Queen in the Maple Leaf Gardens, and he took it out to put more seats. And the media was all over him, and he said, why would she has to pay me money. I pay her money.
Let me tell you something, Nick, when I was a kid, 1960, I was 6 years old. Canadian currency was worth more than the American currency. It's now reversed. You need to come to America. You need to be our 51st state. With the crime you have in Toronto now, you have emotionally disturbed people, homeless on your subways. You have crime. Leave it up to Donald Trump. Come on, Nick.
To clean it up. No, listen. When I was a kid and the first time I went down to the States down in Florida, I said, you know what? We have a bunch of idiots running our country. And Mr. Wonderful actually did mention that a few times lately. So he is.
Wait, Nick. Let's bring that up. You've taken over Florida. You do know that. The east coast of Florida, from Key West up to Hollandale, the racetrack there, North Miami Beach. When I'm down there, all I see are Canadian Maple Leaf flags. You are the shuffleboard champions of America down there.
But we have an inferiority complex up here in Canada. It's like when we go somewhere, not me, but a lot of them, they like.
Let's cut to the chase, Nick. Who would you rather have as your prime minister? The suggestion of Donald Trump, the great one, Wayne Gretzky, who's from Ontario, or Twinkle Toes Trudeau in Ottawa?
Listen, Wayne Gretzky's a good guy, but he's not prime minister material.
Wait! You love Trudeau, Junior? That's enough. I don't want to hear anything more. It's time for Canadian bacon. It's time for the resurrection of John Candy. It's time for us to invade Canada and make it the 51st state. And you know who is the director of that movie? Believe it or not, Michael Moore. Get used to it. Donald Trump is going to take Greenland. Whether they sit down and make a deal, the Danes. What do you think? You're going to stop Donald Trump from taking Greenland? The world's largest island that's in North America. There's only 88,000 people there. 88% of them are Inuits, or as I call them, Eskimos. That's number one. Number two, Canadians. We just talked to our friend in Toronto, where there are more Italians in Toronto than there are in the 5 boroughs of the city of New York. You see, you learned something there, Jonas. And off of the maritime provinces on the East Coast, there is Prince Edward Island. We want that, too. And off the West Coast, right off of Vancouver, there's Vancouver Island. We want that, too. And we want all 10 provinces. Let's see if I can remember them. British Columbia, right? Alberta. There's Regina. There's Saskatchewan. There's Manitoba. Whatever the hell Winnipeg is, there are more Indians and casinos there than anything else. And then we come into Ontario, Quebec, and the maritime provinces. And that warm Chinook just blows its way through to the Rocky Mountains. Look, it's continuous. The Rocky Mountains start up in Canada, and they come through the United States. We're all one people. Why the hell would you want to follow Trudeau Jr. Twinkle Toes in Ottawa when you could have as your prime minister the greatest hockey player of all time, number 99, Wayne Gretzky, right? Well, that's one. Greenland will definitely be ours. And hey, all you squareheads, you Norwegians, no doubt Donald Trump will recognize you and say, well, that's the jumping off spot for Eric the Red, father of Leif Erikson, where they declared that they discovered the New World in Newfoundland right there in the maritime provinces long before Christopher Columbus, the Nina, the Pinta, the Santa, the Maria, right? And long before St. Brendan the Navigator, the Irish thinking they discovered the New World. No. But then again, if you want your dibs in there, this is the way to go. Let's go to Kevin, who's calling from Connecticut. Your turn to be heard here on WABC, Kevin.
Hey, Curtis, I thought Bo was going to be on today. I wanted to tell him that his taste in music was eclectic and spot on.
Let me tell you something, Kevin. James Golden cannot compete with Curtis Sliwa because he doesn't understand that the greatest black R&B group of all time is Sly and the Family Stone. Do you understand that, Kevin? He does not understand that. He will not capitulate to that. He will not buck. He will not bow to that. In fact, how many times does he insist that he is sort of like a modern-day Frankie Crocker on WBLS? He thinks he's like Vaughn Harper of The Quiet Storm. I knew Vaughn Harper. And James Golden, a.k.a. Bo Snerdley, is no Vaughn Harper. No. He tries to act like Barry White, right? He's no Barry White. I want to hear a little bit of Sly and the Family Stone. And if you're listening there, wherever you are, in Bermuda, the Bahamas, somewhere in the Caribbean or West Indies, St. Bart's probably with Jay-Z. That's right, his homeboy. While Beyonce was there in Houston, Thunder Thighs herself, performing at the Texans game against who? Oh, Baltimore won. Oh, yeah, that's one city that has more crime than us. Body Bag City, Baltimore. But, ladies and gentlemen, my music selection is more eclectic. My musical selection is more diverse. And Urkel, who graduated from Jackson High School, that's what he was called in high school, Bo Snerdley, cannot touch this. Let me hear that, Jonas.
Some bottom so that the dancer just won't hide.
Yeehaw! Come on, play that sax.
You might like to hear my organ.
Play that horn. Female horn player. Yeah, Rich Ryder Powell. Let's do it. Cynthia, play it. Oh, yeah, Jonas. Woodstock, 3 o'clock in the morning. They turned that mother out. You can't touch this, James Golden. Bo Snerdley. You can try. You can dabble. You can come in with your musical cuts. But you cannot top the impresario, the mighty Whitey. Curtis, the Caucasian Persuasion, Snow Bro, Sliwa. Let me hear that. Kick it, Sly, kick it. Coming up, the 5 o'clock roundtable discussion. They're probably freaking out right now saying, what the hell is this? Woodstock 1969, 500,000 strong? Oh, yeah. I will never forget Sly and the Family Stone. Turn that mother out.